can we all do the technology chant? Because I'm hoping this all works. So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Please, please, technology work. I'm really glad to be here. I did my first presentation with Caroline this past October at Closing the Gap. And she said, come on down to the Arizona desert in March. I'm like, let me think about it. Stay in Ohio where it's still cold, or come to Arizona and enjoy some sun. Oh, that was a hard decision. 2 seconds later I say, hey Caroline, I decided to come. That was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. Anyway, I'm Snoopi. I'm an artist, writer, poet, comedian, and singer. Today I'm gonna talk to you about the power of music. Music teaches a lot. Just don't tell kids they are learning through music. If you are a parent of a disabled child, or if you are a professional and have disabled clients, or if you are disabled yourself, I want to give you hope. And I want to give you high expectations. Discover your passion. My overall passion was to be an entertainer. But someone else's passion might be sports, art, cooking, or whatever. Let your disability lead you to things you can do. In my situation, I'm multi-talented. So I had to pick what I wanted my focus to be. I chose singing. But there is so much more than just singing. You have to be funny, you have to do commentary when you're doing concerts, and there is so much more than just singing. And from time to time I do comedy because in the process of doing public speaking, I discovered I was a comedian as well. So even though you have a target of what you want to do, you will unlock other gifts as well, or at least it did with me. So let me take you on my musical journey. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and gas. It was 1968 when I started school. Boy, do I feel old. Don't bother doing the math. I was born in 1964, and I'm 53 years old. But 1968 I was in preschool, of which I have no relevant memory of, which means it was 1969 when I started attending Michael Dowling School. And yes, I'm doing the math. Hey, if I asked any of you what year you were in first grade, you'd be doing the math too. Anyway, Dowling was a special school for the disabled, but I don't think any of us ever felt disabled. We were expected to learn. And because the school had such high expectations for us, we had no idea that we were thought of as different. And I think that's very important. If you have a child or client, they can only live up to your expectations. So if you do everything for them and make their choices, of course they won't progress because you are not giving them any choices. But if you teach them, if you offer them art, music, and so on, you will find something that they both like and can do. So okay, I remember we sang "Good Morning to You" to the teacher every morning.
Good morning to you, good morning to you. We're all in our places with sunshine in faces, and this is the way to start a new day. Good morning to you, good morning to you.
Gosh, when I presented in Minnesota, I made mention of my favorite music teacher, Ann Melrose, because I was in her music class. Someone must have told her about my presentation because a few days later, I got a friend request from her on Facebook. She didn't start working at Dowling until 1974, which means I was 10 when I had her as my music teacher. She inspired all of us so much that everyone wanted to sing, or so it seemed. So, she formed a choir called the Dowling Singers. Most of us had a speech disability, so we were hard to understand, but the choir was open to everyone. Miss Melrose focused big time on rhythm. She did pitch as well, but she was huge on rhythm. I think it was because it made it more understandable. She also taught us about different musical instruments. Like when she was trying to teach us chords, most of us could only press one key at a time. And so she brought in an auto harp. That thing was cool because you could do chords by holding down just one button. We were introduced to all kinds of instruments. I think the funniest one was the gong. She asked if anyone knew how to play the gong, and every hand went up, and I think we were all thinking the same thing. She called on one of us who answered, "You hit it as hard as you can, like on the Gong Show."
Everybody!
Oh,
Laugh with me! 1, 2, 3!
I can't.
I think that moment was hard on her because we all wanted to hit the gong. Finally we all stopped and she explained to us that the gong would crack if we just hit it hard. She taught us the correct way to play it. We could see the gong vibrate, and we learned how every sound vibrates so we can hear it. These days, I use that same principle when programming a song. Even now, you think you are hearing a voice, but actually, it's just at different frequencies, making you think you're hearing speech. And as long as I can access the phonetics, I can create the audio illusion of singing. And by the way, if things ever slow down, I would love to try yodeling. I think there's a way. But anyway, it's all about vibrations and frequencies. I remember years ago when I first heard Caroline, she was talking about how rhythmic speaking helps kids get engaged. She used peanut butter, jelly, peanut butter, jelly. Well, Miss Melrose did something similar to teach us rhythm. She used claps. There are 4 beats to a measure. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, clap, 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 clap. And she used those claps to teach us what a measure was. Like my name, Snoopi Botten, would be clap, 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 Snoopi Botten, Snoopi Botten. And after you understand the basic measure, you change to something like 6 beats per measure. So now we can do, I'll use Caroline Musselwhite. So now we do clap, 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 Caroline Musselwhite, Caroline Musselwhite. And of course you can use any name you want, or empathize any place you want. By the way, even now I still use the method that she taught us. And while we are on the topic of beats, I want to tell you all about something exciting. Let's say you have a disabled person who wants to play an instrument, but can't. Well, I want to spend a little time talking about Smartbox. Now I just got the software this past October, and man, I love this software. Anyway, my topic is music, but let me just mention that it has different access methods that other companies don't have, and it has many different vocabulary styles, plus you can change anything you want. But right now I want to use something called Soundbox, which is on the next page. I don't know if it's called a page or a screen, but in any event, you click on the white right arrow, and now we have more options. And as you can see, the last option in this demonstration is Soundbox. And when you click on it, 3 options come up: groove, rhythm, and beats. Unfortunately, there is no tempo control, so you have to work with what you have. Unless you have some kind of studio, then you can speed it up, or slow it down, or an endless number of other things. Because of time, I'll only cover beats. So I'll select beats, and we get 9 slots. At the top of each slot is a plus sign. When you click on it, a ball drops, and a sound comes with it. Each time a ball is dropped, it adds a sound, which represents a beat. Each slot makes a different sound. When added, it adds a sound in any slot you select. However, if a ball is dropped too close to another ball, one ball is removed from the slot. Now at the bottom of each slot is a minus sign. If you select the minus sign, it removes a ball, which removes a beat. So now I'm sure you are asking, so what? Well, what I'm about to demonstrate is so cool. Let me come right back to Soundbox. I promise this will leave you speechless and full of ideas. When I was living in Minnesota, I had a friend who is now married, named Judy Winger. She had a voice that had a very, very large range. Let me tell you, one night she was singing, and she actually broke a glass with the sound of her voice. Anyway, she helped me as I was learning music, and she also sang on my jam album. She's an outstanding singer. Now, Bobby McFerrin, I don't know, but I wish I did. He, uses his body as an instrument. I was in total shock when I saw him on YouTube. Judy and Bobby did a duet together, which you are about to see. However, after the first verse, I'm gonna add in Smartbox.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that hide me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Well, I think I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. And I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the clouds that have me blind. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh, it's like a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I'm here in 65 degrees below zero. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that. That's what I call outstanding. Now, where am I going with this? Some kids can't even clap. So even though Soundbox seems to only have one tempo, the kid using the Soundbox can choose between groove, rhythm, or beats, and create something which the other kids can say their names to, clap to, and so on. And again, Soundbox doesn't appear to have tempo control, which limits how it can be used. But I'm still new to Smartbox, so I need to search through the different things that people have created and see if there is something with tempo control. But even so, Soundbox I think is a great place to start. I didn't seriously go into music until I was 21. Before that I was doing typewriter art with the hopes of one day becoming famous.
Snoopi Botten sits pecking at the typewriter. It is a painstaking process because he has little control over the movements of his body. Snoopi has athetoid cerebral palsy.
The only time I remember I am in a wheelchair is when people sat down to me.
The reason he spends hours at the typewriter is to prove what everyone has always said about him is wrong.
I was always told that I would never do anything, and when I first started doing my art and the family, my dad named me.
Snoopi's father told him the typewriter wasn't meant for art, so he continued making his typewriter pictures in secret.
I was well on my way too. But after 12 years of doing art, two things happened. First, they had stopped making typewriters. Folks, it's a little hard to do typewriter art without a typewriter. The second reason was much more deeper. I had gone to an art show, which was a little backwards because I had my art in shows before actually going to one. But what I realized was, you were to look at art and guess what the person was trying to say. Okay, I must be a work of art because people do that with me every day. So I got out of that and I looked for something else to do. I was 21 and a lot of things happened at once which guided me into music, so it really wasn't one big thing. But one of the many things was meeting gospel singer Sandy Petty. She was your average person who was blessed with a voice. Not long after, I was blessed with an AAC device with Tech Talk in it. So for the next 5 years I studied music and linguistics, and I emerged 5 years later as a synthetic singer. But during those 5 years, I was learning music, studying linguistics so I could create a human-sounding singing voice. I had to convert music time into milliseconds, and I just had so much to learn all at one time. But after 5 years, I emerged as a synthetic singer, and I deeply hope I inspire others to work hard to achieve success. Things just don't happen, it takes a lot of work. Things just don't get handed to you. You have to knock on doors and always practice. That's what I did and still do. But after I kind of announced to the world that I was a synthetic singer, things got crazy. I didn't even realize what I just did because it just felt natural. I was singing at various places, writing songs, programming songs for other people nationwide who also wanted to sing, and I was just being me. I actually went into a depression because I kept hearing stuff like, a disabled person is singing. I just wanted to be treated as an ordinary singer rather than a disabled singer. And let me elaborate on that. I was just getting started in music. This was my paradise because I was surrounded by musicians that helped me learn music. And at one point, we all were working on our own albums. One of them was blind and could play like 6 instruments. Well, word got around that I was doing an album using AAC. I got nominated for an award before anyone heard any of the songs I was writing for my album. I just felt like my device was being honored instead of me. So I didn't accept the award. I mean, my friends and I were just having fun, and I just felt like it just wouldn't be right. But nowadays, I'm grounded, very experienced, and I would be comfortable with getting awards. I bring this up because if any disabled person gets an award, you should ask that person if they could handle it. And make sure you are awarding the person and not the device. Finally, a friend of mine had a talk with me and made me realize that before I came along, no one was singing with AAC. I opened the door so others could sing for the very first time. It was only normal to me because I was doing it. She was so right. But it didn't help much because I wasn't trying to do anything but be a normal singer. Plus I loved seeing kids and adults smile when they learn they can sing with their devices. In 2007 I met my biological father and I learned that both him and my mother did music. So I actually have music in my blood. I want kids and adults to enjoy music because everything is associated with music. We sing happy birthday, holiday songs, camp songs, war songs, and the list never ends. And in my own thinking, it's hard to fit in with society if you can't sing. So I do my best to keep up with songs so I'll have what people want. I try to do all kinds of music, but I do gospel the most. Now, in my younger years I had a lot of speech therapy to help me learn how to talk. When I started working with TikTok, I had to actually phonetically build words. It was hard because I realized that I actually didn't know how words were built. What I mean is, if someone had a computer program where you could phonetically build words, they could hear their own mistakes. Then, when they finally get the sounds right, something will click in their brain, then they can say words more clearly. So I feel that by learning phonetics, I have slightly improved my speech. In my opinion, if kids can program songs, it might improve their speech. Programming songs also requires basic math skills. I mean you learn so much while programming songs. And the number of voices you can create are probably in the billions. So working with TikTok is very addicting. But when you have a body that you can't fully control, it's nice to have speech software that you can program to do anything you can imagine. I do mostly hard, complicated music so I don't get bored. Easy music puts me to sleep because of the redundancy. I have a friend named Blake Roberts who is blind. He also programs songs and we do albums together. He doesn't like doing easy songs either. But he can only do slow music in English, while I can do any tempo and in other languages. Blake can do harmony, I can't without the sheet music. So we help each other. But in knowing phonetics, if TikTok pronounces anything wrong, I can correct it. I haven't done a lot of children's songs because in some ways they're much harder. See, as adults, we know songs can be sung in many different ways. Children don't know that. When they learn a song, it always has to be sung that same way. Why ruin it? Kids are at that innocent age where they believe in Santa, the Easter Bunny, magic, and everything else. So if you're going to enter their world, don't mess it up. Like when I did Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Children's faces light up and it creates a small bond. And if I'm even one note off, I break the bond. But if I have an adult audience, they don't want a song in its original form, they want to hear my personality come through the song. And in my old age and years of experience, I enjoy doing my own versions of stuff. Like I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga. She wrote a song called Hair, which was interesting. I was thinking about how the disabled community never has a song that they can identify with. So, I rewrote the words, and I call it Chair. I can pop a wheelie, come join me in the dance. The dance. I just wanna be myself, I want you to love me for who I am. I just wanna be myself, I want you to know I am my chair, I'm happy enough. This is my prayer, and I'll die living and free as my chair. I'm happy enough. This is my prayer, and I'll die living and free as my chair. I'm happy enough. I'm not a freak. I'm a cheat, trying to take on the breach. I'm happy enough, 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 and this is my prayer. I swear I'm free as my chair. I'm as free as my chair. Oh, 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 I am my chair. I am my chair. My cherry, cherry, I'm happy enough. This is my prayer, and I'll die living as free as my chair. I've had enough. This is my prayer, and I'll die living as free as my chair. I did this video with hopes that others will copy me. Use my audio and make your own video, because I think it's a good way to educate the public. I have a few other songs like that, which include the disabled community. The song, Born This Way, comes to mind. Many people ask me how I got cerebral palsy, so I changed her words to include people with disabilities. No matter what your disability is or what your situation is, we were all born with gifts and the tools we need to make it through life. We just need the support and encouragement to bring out the best in all of us. And a lot of times, that's what music does. It draws us closer together and it inspires us to do our best. I'm going to end with Puff the Magic Dragon. I think you all know it. Loneliness paralyzes everyone, even the dragon. So as we all sing this, let's all think of ways we can encourage each other so no one ends up like Puff. Okay everyone, let me hear you. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whenever they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten. The dragon lives forever, but not so little boys. Painted wings and giant rings made way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more. And Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into this cave. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Botten.